All right, so we need to talk, Nate, a little bit about how the ruling party in the United Kingdom are hell-bent on killing as many of us as possible, if not making sure we're never born in the first place. A death cult, you might say.
Exactly. Absolutely a death cult. Where and Keir Starmer is the ringleader. Hail Satan himself, effectively.
Truly satanic, right? So over the last week, they finally passed the bill about end of life, that you can legally take your own life, or ask for not palliative care, but to have your life ended. That you can now do that in the UK, Canada style. And also, although that has been a debate in the public square for years, what hasn't been really is the massive liberalisation of abortion laws, which, with hardly any debate in the Commons, they then passed a new set of laws where it's much, much easier to get an abortion. And in some cases, you do need doctors to sign off on it, but we'll talk about that in a minute, all the way up to birth. So both at the beginning and at the end of life, Labour are happy for people to be killed, essentially.
So, yeah, I mean, full cards on the table. In terms of the assisted dying situation, I think absolutely if you want to go out on your own terms, I think that is something which, like, I'm all for that, right? I'm not saying I want to or anything like that, but if I so happen to be in that situation, I would like the option. I do not, however, believe the state has my or anyone else's best wishes in mind when they passed this bill remotely, and I think actually that's very telling when you look at a lot of the sort of, because there was adverts for it. They were doing some campaign posters for these kind of things. I remember it all around London. It was only white people. It was literally in the most diverse city where white people are a minority in the UK. It was white people. So that's telling. That's revealing. And mark my words on any of the eventual adverts, because it's been passed now, so it's going to happen. The adverts that they push to propagandize the general public into doing this, it will be white people. It will be the natives, which begs the question: what? You're just looking to replace us quicker? Like what? I just don't trust them. I don't believe the state has my best wishes in mind at all. But I'm all for. I am genuinely all for people having the option to end things on their own terms. In terms of the abortion thing, again, just full cards.
Sorry. We just talk about that and then we'll go on to the abortion thing. I actually completely agree with you. In our sphere, there's quite a lot of Christians.
Yes.
And their view, I'm not a Christian, and their view often, not always, but often, is that life is sacred, and it's just wrong to ever end a life prematurely, and it's just wrong always. I don't have that view. I agree with you. I think it's your life, not God's. It's your life, and if you want to end it, you should be allowed to. It is a horror. It is honestly a horror to see people die over a course of months in a hospital bed, and they're obviously as depressed as they could be, and they're just slowly dying. That is a horrific thing. It really is, and it doesn't benefit anyone. I myself, if I had terminal multiple cancers and things, and it's inoperable, and the only thing left to you is to sit in a hospital bed with a morphine drip for 2 months until your heart fails. That's the rest of your life. That is. I'd say, no, please. No, give me an injection. Put me out of my misery now. Okay, so that's how I feel about it. But I also agree with you. So we're 100% agreement about this. I also agree with you that I don't trust the state to be doing things like that in my interests. I don't believe that it will be kept just for the very, very worst palliative care patients.
Nah.
No, they'll do like what they've done in Canada, where someone comes in and goes, "Oh, I'm a bit depressed," and the doctor goes, "Well, we can put you out your misery," and they're like, and then it happens. Or doctors, they make a decision about money. Oh, it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of pounds to put you through this care.
Yeah.
Or we've got a $29.99 syringe right here to end it today. And they sort of railroad people into it and stuff. That is what will happen. That is what will end up happening, is that people that shouldn't have died end up getting put down. That's the worry.
Yeah.
So that's why, even though I'm for it, it has to be only for those people that are in extreme pain. They've got nowhere to go, no other medical or surgical options, and they're completely aware of what they're doing and the decision that they're making. In those cases, and that will be tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people a year. It'll be thousands of people a year that does apply to. Okay. But yeah, like you, I don't trust the buggers to limit it to purely that.
No.
Yeah, terrible thing.
When I say, and when we say, there will be atrocities surrounding this, in say 5 years' time, we could have a litany of articles where people have been wrongly given these options and taken it. That is unequivocally what will happen. That's not it's not a well, if, but, or maybe. No. That's unequivocal. It will happen. We will have those articles. We will have those examples where this has been abused wrongly, because it happens every single time when any of these things happen. There's multiple examples of this everywhere. I mean, you use Canada, for instance. There's been awful things that have happened in Canada. I mean, I would anticipate them essentially offering it to the homeless. I genuinely think that they probably would, and that disgusts me anyway. I consistently get very, very angry with our homeless issue in the UK, because we're able to house foreign men. There should be no British citizen, actual Englishman or Brit, on the street when we are paying for random third worlders to be put up in a hotel. No, that's disgusting. Actually disgusting. But we'll offer them death, I would imagine. And this is an assumption, of course, but I would imagine we would.
Yeah. No, it will definitely get abused. There will be cases of this person was wrongly offered it, or whatever. There'll be the whole spectrum of malfeasance, almost certainly. And the argument has been used. One of the big arguments why we don't execute people anymore in this country, why we did away with capital punishment, is, well, it's better that a guilty man go free than an innocent man hang. We can't possibly have it on our conscience that even one person could be wrongly hanged. But now it's totally possible that people could be wrongly put down by a doctor, though. The window of opportunity for that's okay. But if it's a criminal person, then we couldn't possibly. I mean,
it's funny, isn't it, how the left, because it is the left.
Yeah, this is all the left.
Their view of compassion is like, well, we can't murder people that have done awful things, but we'll murder people if they want to, and that may also lead to people just dying wrongly. And it's like, what? Upside down, topsy-turvy. We live in a clown world. And again, I repeat, I'm not against the notion of it. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I've known people that have suffered in hospice, and it's brutal. It's brutal. It's not pleasant. And I think having that option, I think would have potentially been better for them. I think that they would have appreciated it. But no, I'm not a big believer in the state. But also, like you, and this is what I was going to say when I was going to move on to the abortion thing, is I'm not religious remotely. We can discuss the philosophical ramifications of life, and the meaning of life as a whole and things like this, of course. And you could do that until you're blue in the face, but it is your life. You know, it's not preordained in a directional way, and it's not sacred in a sense that there's a higher power. You know, your life is as sacred as you choose it to be. You know, your life has the meaning and purpose you give it. And if that has come to an end in your eyes, then yeah, I believe that you should have the ability to remove yourself. Personally.
Yeah, it should. I think it should be your choice. Yeah. Again, it comes down. It does boil down to, at least from the religious point of view, of do you believe that like it's God's plan for you to live or die or not, and you shouldn't have a choice in that. So, for example, I remember Ariel Sharon. What a funny reference to bring up. But Ariel Sharon lived to be very, very old, way into his 90s. And for years of his life, I haven't got any sympathy. He was a bloodthirsty maniac. But for the last few years of his life, he was just in a coma at home, like kept alive with a drip and all sorts of drugs. He never regained consciousness for years. And they kept him alive. All the doctors, all the best doctors in the world, kept him alive. And so the argument they would make, obviously Jewish in this case, but nonetheless, whatever, just from the religious point of view, is that you can't let him die. You can't just let him slip away, because life is sacred, and God gave him life, and it's our responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility to keep him alive for as long as humanly possible, every last day, every last hour. Otherwise, you're screwing with God's plan. And it's like, no, if it wasn't for all the chemicals and drugs and all the extreme measures you were taking to keep him alive, he would have died years ago. How is that not messing with God's plan? And anyway, I reject all of that anyway. If I want to die, if I want to kill myself, I should be allowed to. I mean, it's not a great look, and I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal.
Bo did not hang himself.
Yeah. If MI5 take me out and zip me up in a bag in my own bath, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Okay. But no, that thing of when you're dying and there's no medical recourse left, and the drugs don't work anymore, the morphine or whatever, the drugs don't work, and it's a hell. It's a hell. You should be able to end it. But yeah, as for the abortion thing, again, I'm going to tread on a bunch of toes here, because the religious line is that never, ever, ever should there be any abortion. Even some even say, don't they, that even the morning after pill is not okay. So, many even say that any sort of contraception is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm of the old 1980s, 1990s mind that, what's the old adage, that it should be rare. There's a thing, oh God, I can't remember the old adage, but basically super rare. In some cases, in some extreme cases, if they know the child is very early on, is going to be, or it's going to be a stillbirth or whatever, or almost likely to be a still, or the child is terribly, terribly deformed, or if it's a rape case. There's a few out there situations where I feel like it is justifiable, just about. I certainly think that contraception is okay. I'm of the mind that the morning after pill is okay. I don't agree that an egg and a sperm 1 day later, after they meet, 1 day later, that's a human. I don't buy that. However, certainly, but on the other end of the spectrum, so I'll take it in the neck from all the religious people for having that opinion. But on the other end of the spectrum, I think it should be extremely, extremely rare, and only in the most extreme cases. And if the baby could survive, then definitely that's a murder in my mind. Like, whatever the youngest baby ever to have survived outside of the womb in an incubator, whatever the world record is for that, right? Then any baby aborted after that, that's it's not even like a killing or a manslaughter. I feel like that's a murder, right? So what we've got now in this country is, at least in some cases, if doctors sign off on it, you can get a baby that would 100% survive, and they're chopping it up and sucking its brains out and throwing it in a medical bin. Like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus Christ! Can you say you have to bleep that in post? Like, Jesus,
I don't know.
Christ, like, it's sickening, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't understand. And the argument is, isn't it, that it's a woman's right to choose. It's to do with the woman's right to choose. Well, no, not after a certain point. It isn't. We're talking about the destiny of two human beings. I'm not even talking about the dad. We're talking about two human beings at a certain point. Like I said, I don't believe that the moment the egg is fertilized, that's a human. I'm not. But if you take a baby that, if you delivered it or if you induced labor, it would definitely live.
Yeah.
How is that not murder? I mean, what's your feelings about it?
Well, so so I guess start similar to where you did. So contraception, I think, is absolutely fine. Yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I'm not religious, so contraception, great, do it, right? I think, unfortunately, there's a few things to talk about with contraception. Actually, is that women especially, are not actually informed about contraception, the damage it does to their body. So as much as I'm like pro contraception, the pills and things like that are hugely damaging to a woman's fertility in the long run. And actually, if you look into it, it's quite shocking, because you are messing with the endocrine system to quite a big degree, actually. And a lot of women are not told this, because GPs, I mean, for those that don't know, I'm actually doing a master's degree at the moment, where you are taught to a level in sort of diagnostic care anyway of what a GP would be. The only difference is that GPs then just go and prescribe a bunch of drugs, whereas what I would be doing is a more holistical way anyway, but we'll shuffle on from all of that. But
You
a
know
lot of
about
GPs,
hormones in detail. I know you do.
yeah.
Talking about
basically,
hormones.
exactly, yeah. So the endocrine system, it is so incredibly damaging for the endocrine system. To liken it to something else, and it's not as extreme, but it sounds like an extreme example, but it's very similar in the actions that it does. Is that we talked about and have done in many facets of online sort of commentary space, is the chemical castration drugs that they give to kids, right? And they say, well, these are just puberty blockers. So it's very similar to that. Is the interruption of the body's natural rhythms, the endocrine responses. You can permanently damage yourself by doing these things. It's not a small thing. It's actually really, really huge. A lot of women are under the belief, and it doesn't apply to all contraception for women, might I add, but the majority are like this, is that they're under the belief that they can just stop and then they're fertile again. No, my love, no. It can take you 2 years, up to and beyond 2 years, and then even then, at a certain point, the rate of your fertility potential can still be decreased even beyond that, even if you become fertile again. So as much as I don't, I'm like, yeah, sure, contraception, do your thing. I actually think people are ill-informed on it. So a bit of a long-winded way to sort of describe that.
Just use Johnny's, not the pill. Is what I'm hearing.
yeah, basically.
Old-fashioned Johnny's, they work.
Yeah. Well, also, like the pill messes with a woman's psyche as well, because the endocrine system, it genuinely, that I get a cop some flack from women here, but it's true. Look it up. Different phases of your hormonal cycle will change what you look for in a man, and when you are permanently on contraception, what you look for in a man is effectively a bit of a soy boy, and then when you come off, you go for literally your attraction changes, because it's all you are a slave to your hormones, right? Your hormones do dictate what you find attractive. We are we're a slave to our base needs, and they are dictated by hormones. So, you know, lots of women could be dating a man when they're on contraception and then be like, right, cool, it's time to have a baby now, get off contraception. And they're like, ugh, what is that?
I shouldn't laugh, it's not funny, but
that's the truth. That's actually the truth. Yeah, you know, maybe we could do a video on that sometime, but I digress. I could talk about that stuff for ages because it's very interesting to me. And I actually, you know, I don't disagree with the morning after pill either, because I think you're taking responsibility for things preemptively. You are recognizing that there's a situation that's occurred that you would not like to progress, and so you stop it. Right? I think that's acceptable. I think that's fine. However, when you're talking about mincing up a baby, like an actual baby, and yeah, I'm using quite graphic terms, but that's effectively what you're doing. You are blending it up, you're mincing it up, and then you're hoovering it out.
Yeah.
No. And also women and men, you know, men that encourage this behavior as well, because there will be some that will do this, I'm sure. To say that there won't be is just naivety. You need to understand that this can permanently damage you and prevent you from having children in future as well. And again, not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people are aware that even just one abortion can prevent you from having children again in future. And so one of those kind of mistakes that you make can ruin your opportunity of a loving family in future. But it's just disgusting. It's absolutely sick. Like, where was this call? Where was the conversation for anyone wanting to do this? The town square wasn't you know, ablaze with people calling for the end to these abortion things. No. Where did this come from? What is this?
Absolutely out of clear blue sky.
Out of nowhere. Out of absolutely nowhere. Just the most... Yeah. It's the most irresponsible thing, because we talk about contraception, right? The problem becomes, and again, anyone that thinks that this won't be the case, you're naive. The problem becomes when women use these as a form of contraception, which inevitably they will do. Like, to say otherwise is naivety. You know, we're around long enough now. You know, we're in the modern age long enough. Like, there's a litany of evidence to indicate that this would have happened, has happened, will happen. Yeah, no, sick. Yeah, pretty sick.
I mean, one of the things I've heard, it will almost certainly happen, is that you get to the stage of pregnancy where they can tell you what sex it is, and it's not the one the mum wants. Yeah. So she just has it chopped up and flushed out.
Didn't think about that, actually. I didn't think about it, but you're right.
For a number of reasons. She's 8 months pregnant, but then splits up with her fella for whatever reason. And she doesn't want his baby, or out of malice to screw him or whatever, has it chopped up and its brain sucked out and flushed away. When it would definitely have lived. I mean, yeah, it's sort of as sickening as it gets. And to dress up the argument about it, that it's just about the woman's rights.
Well, the phrase they use, it's reproductive rights.
Murdering
rights. People. Murdering people is reproductive rights.
Once the baby would definitely have lived, or 99% likely to have lived, it's not just about that woman anymore.
Yeah,
and I don't care what feminists say or throw at me for having that opinion. I don't care. I don't care. That is just simply how it is. And so for the UK Parliament to just out of nowhere, mostly female goddamn psycho Karens out of nowhere introducing this, and with sort of no debate in Parliament. It was like 40, 50 minutes worth of debate, which is to say none, almost none, to then get it through. And that loads of Parliament wasn't even there. Like Nigel Farage didn't even turn up to the debate and the vote.
Disgusting. I think I think we had quite liberal abortion rights anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
it was
Like
already
our
fairly liberal.
laws were,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
were pretty liberal as they were, and I just can't see what the end goal is with any of this. Ultimately, yeah, it's just disturbing, and I
It
think
is.
you have to keep going back to the element of, if it was the moment it's a viable life form, right? Like it comes out and it's viable, like it has the ability to live. There's a strong potential chance it will live. Well, that's a life, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. I mean, 100%.
That
100%.
it's a very complex conversation of, well, then who has the right to blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, I understand it's complex, but it is still a life form. And then it comes down to responsibility, right? Like, it's, if you nurture a culture that brazenly perpetuates irresponsible sexual liaisons, to the point where they're, you have to liberalize abortion even further because you think that it's just, I don't know, it's wrong. Quite frankly, it's, yeah.
Yeah,
Society should be.
they talk about reproductive rights. What about like reproductive responsibility?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you've got no responsibility until the moment is breached. No. That doesn't make sense. That's nonsense.
Well, that's the argument that they're making, really,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? That's the argument they're making, and I know people will be like, well, yeah, but what they're referring to is these very, very rare instances, but where, I don't know, someone's been criminalized because of, I don't know, like a death has happened and blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, but those are the exceptions, and that won't be the rule that's going to occur here, right? Like, we haven't seen how this is going to look in actuality, and how it's going to be outlined. And the thing with Parliament is that they pass these things, and then it's effectively it's subject to judges, isn't it? Interpreting that, which then make the grounds for the laws in place. I don't really trust the judiciary at this point to do anything that wouldn't be subversive evil.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or coming down to doctors. I saw a few people defending it, saying, "Oh no, you still need to be signed off by 2 doctors who are in
Oh, great.
agreement with the." Yeah, well, you just get a whole tranche of doctors that are killers.
Academia is full of
Yeah,
left-wing psychos. So yeah,
you,
good, great.
you'll just get certain clinics that people know. If you go there, they'll sign off on it for you. Yeah, that will happen. Yeah,
Yeah, good.
great.